Hello everyone, I'm Sean.
This is Hoon?
We are the Courageour Frights back once again for another movie review.
Yes.
This time we're doing the latest Indiana Jones movie. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yes, it sounds like a video game title. But
It does. It really does sound like a video game title. It's almost like the Fate of Atlantis
yes.
or something like
or Indiana Jones Adventures.
And so in this movie, Indiana Jones has his greatest adventure yet, where he fights old age.
Yeah, old age.
And goes on a quest to save Hitler.
Yeah, pretty much. He's been fighting Nazis so much that he wants to save Hitler this time.
Like, that's not a joke. That's actually part of the plot.
Yeah, that's the plot point in one part of the movie.
I guess it's a spoiler right off the bat.
Yeah.
But the villain wants to use a time device to go back and kill Hitler.
Yes, because he blames Hitler for losing the war.
Which, that's not unreasonable.
Yeah, that's not unreasonable.
Hitler did a lot of stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so anyway, we have Indiana Jones again, this time played by 80-year-old Harrison Ford.
Yeah, you could definitely tell his age.
So if you thought he was too old in Crystal Skull...
Now he's a skull.
He's almost... It's pretty rough at times.
Yes.
Yeah, he's joined once again by a million-year-old Sala as well, who also looks like he's on his last legs.
Yeah, you could tell when the people are like older, you definitely tell their age is showing.
Yeah, this one in particular, because they're like advanced age now.
Yeah.
They're all senior citizen.
Yeah.
Plus, Pheobe Waller-Bridge plays his goddaughter, Helena.
Yeah, Helena.
Helena Shaw, who is the daughter of an old friend of Indy's that we've never seen or heard of before.
Yeah, they explain him in the beginning part of the movie. It's like
he's
the
in
first
the intro.
25 minutes or something.
So those are your main people, and then she has her own little sidekick, Teddy.
Yeah. Not Short Round.
Not Short Round, who is, basically Short Round.
Yeah, he's literally the same character.
He's Short Round from Marrakesh.
Yes.
So the events unfold in the very beginning of the movie. We get a de-aged flashback to 1944, which is actually really well done.
Yeah.
For the most part.
That Harrison Ford, like, DH looks really good.
Yeah. It's probably the best we've ever seen, I would say. It goes on for a while, too. It's like a 30-minute intro.
Yeah, I think before I did the review, I kind of read a little bit of, like, behind the scenes for it. And they said that scene specifically originally when Steven Spielberg was supposed to film that movie, it was only supposed to be 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But Mangold, he was like, we're making this 25 minutes.
Right. So initially Steven Spielberg was supposed to direct this like in 2017 or something.
Yeah, like 2017. Like kind of right after Crystal Skull, because they plan on making another movie then.
Yeah.
It just took forever.
Yeah, various developmental issues and whatnot. And then James Mangold, who recently did, I think, Ford v Ferrari, Wolverine, and Logan.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other stuff. But he's probably... I guess Logan is the closest thing to this, because it's just the age.
Yeah, it almost has that same type of...
Right, although Hugh Jackman was way younger.
Yeah.
To be doing this. Although I guess Patrick Stewart.
I think he was like supposed to be like your Indiana Jones, your Harrison Ford character, because he's like really old and just can't do anything.
Yeah. Although Harrison Ford does a hell of a lot more than Patrick Stewart did in Logan. He's not wheeling around in a wheelchair talking about the latest chalupas at Taco Bell.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, the DH scene at the beginning in 1944 where Indy's doing Indy stuff, fighting Nazis, really well done.
Yeah, that was really good. That was a pretty good segment.
The first act is well done. It definitely takes a downgrade after that first act.
Yeah, because it kind of like goes from there into like old man.
Old man, where he's yelling at his neighbors for having the music too loud and whatnot. But the beginning part's really good. I felt like it would have been a really good premise for like a Disney Plus show.
I do agree with that.
Like maybe 30-minute episodes of one-off indie adventures.
Yeah. It's almost like if they were to do like Young Indiana Jones again.
Right, but with Harrison Ford.
Be like regular Indiana Jones.
Regular Indiana Jones.
Middle-aged Indiana Jones adventures.
Yeah, exactly. Indiana Jones midlife crisis adventures.
Yes, exactly.
So, that part was really good. Again, it takes a downgrade, but shockingly, I don't feel like this movie ever really sinks to levels that destroy the character.
No.
Or the franchise.
I know that's some complaints about this movie. Like some people are saying that it did. It's like, I don't see that happening.
I don't think it did.
No.
I enjoyed this movie more than the Star Wars films.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
The Star Wars movies all have, like, character-breaking moments.
Yeah.
And things that just ruin the franchise.
This one, they kept them pretty consistent with,
yeah,
like, the whole series.
Their characters are consistent with what we see in the past.
Yeah.
The new characters are fine. The only thing... Mads Mikkelsen's a good villain.
Yeah.
The only complaint is that he suffers a decapitation.
Oh, yeah. That didn't make any sense.
In the 1944 sequence that apparently he just walked off.
Yeah, he's like, screw it, I'm fine.
So I know other people have said this too. I've heard other people's reviews have literally mentioned this, but it needs to be said. If anybody's seen the end of Speed, the Keanu Reeves movie from 1994, there's a scene at the very end, I guess spoilers for this 30-year-old movie. There's a fight between him and Dennis Hopper, the villain, on top of a subway or a metro train. And it ends with Keanu Reeves like pushing Dennis Hopper's face up and his head hits off of like a signpost and gets decapitated. That's literally what happens to Mads Mikkelsen here, and he's apparently fine.
Yeah, he's fine, and he actually fall off like a bridge or something, too.
Yeah, he does. He gets smacked in the face by like a sign while going on a high-speed train.
Yeah.
And then falls off a bridge into like off a cliff.
Yeah.
And he just apparently walked it off.
He's like, fine, I do that all the time.
He just rubbed some dirt in it.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but that was probably the most unbelievable thing in the movie, and this is a movie about like a time travel device.
Yeah, that's didn't make any sense whatsoever.
So yeah, for somehow he survives, and then he is the villain later on. They're doing the sort of, what was that, Operation Paperclip, where Nazi scientists helped the United States government like do the moon landing and all that.
Which that's actually a real thing that happened right after World War II.
Yeah, that's a true story. So they kind of went with that route, which is kind of cool. I mean, you could either go one of two ways, I guess, with a 60s Nazi story.
Yeah, especially if you're still using like Nazis as your bad guy.
Right, they want to have Nazis be the bad guys. You could either have done that, or you could have done like some kind of like Argentina, South America story or something. But in this case, they decided to go with that, and they're looking for a device called the Antikythera, which is the Archimedes dial.
Yeah.
The dial of destiny, if you will.
Which apparently kind of can tell, like, tell where, like, time vortexes are. Or
yeah, there's just fissures of time that exist. Yeah. And this dial can, like, predict where they'll open up and where they'll go to.
Yeah.
But there's a problem with that later on, because they find out that Archimedes didn't know about continental drift, so the timing, the locations are all off.
Yeah, because it's like you put a time zone in or time frame in there, and it like takes you something else.
Yeah, because it's looking for the placement 2,000 years ago or whatever, not today. So anyway, that's the main plot point. There's a little subplot in the beginning about the Spear of Longinus.
Which
is just a fake. That's like
I wonder if that was from like a game or something, because
could have been.
It's like randomly in there, and they keep talking about it, and it's like.
Yeah.
And then it just goes nowhere.
It's like a red herring at the beginning of the movie, which that, of course, would have been the spear that pierced Christ.
Yeah.
But it's a forgery. But at the same time, on that train, they also have half of this Antikythera or whatever there. So that becomes the main plot. And Mads Mikkelsen's been searching for it since the 40s. And Indy's friends, Shaw, was obsessed with it. And then his daughter subsequently is obsessed with it, who's Indy's goddaughter, is played by Pheobe Waller-Bridge. She shows up, and she's sort of like this rogue kind of...
Yeah, she kind of has like a thief of the heart of gold type of thing, which maybe not even the heart of gold part of it. You're just like
it's very thin, yeah.
Yeah, it's like just a thief, because she's literally like selling antiquities and stuff in like a mafia boss hotel or something.
Yeah, she's just kind of, she's pretty much a Han Solo character.
Yeah.
And she's just in for the money. Except for the only person she has any kind of hot, like soft spot for is Indy.
Yeah, because it's like she still has him as like because he's a goddaughter or godfather or whatever.
Yeah. So that's kind of the plot here, and there's also a subplot about Indiana Jones' life being miserable because this is a Disney movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the last film that Lucas made ended with him being married to Marion, the love interest from Raiders, and they have a son, Mutt.
Yeah.
Played by actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Yes.
And so Shia LaBeouf apparently got into an argument with Indy, his dad, and decided to join the military.
Yeah.
At the age of 32. First off, who gets into an argument with their father and storms off and joins the military when you're 32? That's like something you do when you're 18.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's so stupid. And second off, does the military even allow you to enlist at 32? It's getting close to the cutoff.
Yeah, unless it's like supposed to be since it's like Vietnam. That
maybe.
It's like, oh, we need people.
Like, I know they had people in the military that were in their 30s, but people who just signed up.
Yeah, I don't think they're just signed up.
Like, I feel like the people that were in their 30s were like career military men.
Yeah, they were like, I think they fought like Korea or something.
Yeah. Like that, I thought that was a bit weird. So anyway, Shia signed up, Mutt, I guess his name, signed up to enlist to go fight in Vietnam. And I guess he was, in my headcanon, he was a drill sergeant. And he was out in the field motivating the troops.
Yeah, there you go.
So there are people at the landing zone with a Huey helicopter behind him. And the troops are trying to get to the helicopter. They're dragging their feet. Guy's wounded. He can't quite make it. And then Shia is just sitting there saying, "Don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it." And then in slow-mo, you just hear him going, "Just do it." And then a mortar shell comes down and just blows him up.
Yeah, there you go.
Because Mutt is dead.
Yeah, Mutt is dead. They killed him off screen.
They killed him. The character that 90% of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull revolved around.
Yes.
And was being obviously set up to be the next Indiana Jones is just dead.
Dead, yeah.
Off screen. Which I'm sure like a lot of people aren't really going to be that upset about, because I don't think anybody liked that character.
I think I was more curious of how they were going to do it. But
yeah.
They just killed him.
They just killed him. They almost just killed him off screen and didn't even mention it, because originally it was like on the TV. There's a scene where it says something about Professor Indiana Jones like recently divorced and son's killed in combat in Vietnam or something. And I thought that was going to be it. And then they address it later on, but I mean, still.
Yeah, because like Indy's like having like a emotional breakdown.
Yeah,
like,
because Marion's like filing for divorce, irreconcilable differences or whatever, because like Indy just won't get out of his slump or whatever.
Yeah.
But, so that's kind of the emotional backstory going on here. That adds a little bit more weight to the character. And it's kind of like the one last adventure.
Yeah.
But, so, talking about this film, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I don't think it's like, some people are making it like the worst movie ever in existence.
No, I don't think it's that bad.
No, it's not.
I liked it better than probably any of the 3 Star Wars movies that they've done.
I do agree with that.
It's
actually at least an original story.
Yeah, I feel like this was a pretty decent Indiana Jones movie. It's low.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in the ranking of all 5, it's probably...
I think it's above Crystal Skull.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch Crystal Skull because it's been a while. Actually, I haven't seen it since it came out.
Yeah, I saw it once, but...
It's probably hovering around there.
I know I was going out, like, just remembering, I know going out of Crystal Skull, I didn't like it at all.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This one, I could be like, at least this one's not bad. It's not like
it's indie. I mean, it feels like Indiana Jones for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also an 80-year-old Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's like, it's just because he's an old man. It's like, obviously not going to have the same energy as someone's young.
No, and the graphics, the special effects are weird at times.
That was a big complaint I had was... The action scenes, They were blurry, and they were like, they do that stupid close-up thing where you can't tell what's going on.
Movies, especially movies these days, have a real problem with that close-up camera.
Yeah, it's like very fast. It's very fast cuts plus like close-up, and it's blurry, and you can't tell what's going on like half the time.
You think they would have figured out to stop doing that shit?
Yeah,
because like that was a thing like in mid 2000s.
It's like a Transformers thing.
Transformers did it. The Dark Knight does it.
Yeah.
Even though everybody claims The Dark Knight's the greatest film of all time.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight has terrible action because the
Yeah.
camera is like in Christian Bale's face the whole time.
Yeah.
So like this movie suffers from the camera being too close. The blurry stuff is weird because there's times where there's nothing going on at all and it's still like out of focus.
It's almost like they have like I don't know if it's like a filter or just like the way the lens they're using or something. I don't know what
it was strange. I think that's intentional because I think a vast majority of the action sequences, if not all of them, is probably a body double with Harrison Ford's face CGI'd in.
Because I think there was a scene in the very beginning of the movie where he's fighting on the 1944 train. I guess Harrison Ford like hurt his shoulder or something doing a punch.
Yeah, he messed his shoulder up, and I know he was off set for like a couple months.
Yeah. And
they kept filming without him, which is a little worrying.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of the shots are body doubles and stuff. I think they Steven Seagal'd the hell out of this movie.
Yeah, probably.
Or they probably had 4 body doubles for, like, Harrison Ford probably was on the set for 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, probably like at home, like, using his, like, I don't know, recording studio or something.
Just ADR'd everything after the fact. So I think the blurring is probably to try to disguise that fact.
So you can't see who it is.
Yeah. It's a weird choice. So, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was probably my biggest complaint was those action scenes. Some of them were, like, not good looking.
No, and they're generic.
Yeah.
Like, there's a tuk-tuk chase in, like, Tangiers or something.
That happened in some of the other, like, not the tuk-tuk chase, but that type of chase.
It's very similar to Raiders.
Yeah.
Because Raiders spends a lot of time in Cairo and, like, that sort of thing. And this movie does, too. Like, North Africa. Salah's in it for a bit, who's played by John Rhys-Davies. And he was there in Raiders.
Oh, okay.
And Last Crusade, actually. The only movie that they briefly... I guess they reference every movie. They only briefly reference Temple of Doom.
Yeah, because Temple of Doom was only there because he was like, I was voodoo or whatever and all that other stuff.
Yeah, possessed by Kali Ma or whatever.
And I think Crystal Skull was referenced a little bit with Mutt and also like that spaceship thing.
Yeah.
Because he talks about when he's teaching his class.
Yeah, and he does talk about how, like, he doesn't believe in magic, but he's seen enough unexplainable things and stuff like that.
It's like, I've seen enough unexplainable things to know.
Yeah, which is very Han Solo in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Where he's talking about the Force and stuff, even though young Han Solo didn't believe in it at all.
Yeah.
And now he's seen enough stuff that he knows it exists.
Yeah.
Because he's telling Finn in that one scene, that's not how the Force works. Like, it's like, yeah, like, you know what the Force is.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, that makes sense. With the experiences, he would change his opinions and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to not believe in the supernatural when you just saw a bunch of ghosts come out of the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, I know.
Melt people's heads.
Or the Kali Ma, the guy's, like, ripping a heart out of his chest.
Yeah, the magic stones that magically heal a village.
Yeah.
And the Holy Grail with a 700-year-old crusader guarding
Yeah,
it.
he's like literally a guy just guarding it. He's still alive for no reason at all.
Barely.
Yeah.
He lifts his sword and falls over.
Yeah.
But, and there's a brief reference to Sean Connery, too, I guess. But, which that was always weird, too, though, because shouldn't Henry Jones be immortal?
Yeah, because he drank out of the cup.
He drank out of the Grail, unless the Grail was a fraud.
Yeah, it was a fraud, too.
It was a fake, too.
Gave him the wrong one.
Just like the Spear of Longinus.
Yeah.
Because that was a problem in the last one, because he died in the last movie, off screen. Because they said in King of the Crystal Skull that he had passed away.
Oh, yeah, because they had like that, almost like that funeral scene.
Well, they have a scene where, they have a scene with like his photo on his desk, and they say something. I think there's a line somewhere, ever since Dad died, like whatever.
It's like, he shouldn't be dead.
It's like, didn't he drink from the Grail? Like, wasn't that the point?
Yeah, I know.
What's the point of the Grail? I thought it was supposed to be eternal life.
Didn't you drink out of the Grail?
Yeah, I think he did too, didn't he?
Yeah, because he got shot, and he was like pouring it all over his body and stuff. It was like, shouldn't you be like immortal at this point?
Yeah, so that's weird. I wish there was more references to Temple of Doom, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll talk about that brief. Like, what would you have liked to have seen from an Indiana Jones movie?
Actually, this one I think kind of hit a lot of the stuff I wanted to see, like the action. Like, I mean, being able to see the action, I guess.
Your vision would be to be able to actually see what's happening.
See what's going on, because Indiana Jones always thought was like that type of adventure story where you're like going through an adventure type of thing. And they did this pretty well in this movie. Like I thought they did, but
yeah,
that was kind of my biggest thing. Other than that, it's like I don't really. I think it hit all the pretty good notes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think personally, I felt like they're constantly trying to pass the torch.
Yeah,
they did it with Mutt. Now they're trying to do it with Phoebe Waller-Bridge,
which I don't think that's gonna happen.
Neither one did.
Yeah,
they just killed Mutt. I feel like if they ever continue the story, which they're not supposed to, but
yeah, because Harrison Ford's already said that Indiana Jones dies with me. When I die, he's dead.
Right. They could do some legacy character thing that's not Indiana Jones, but I don't think it would do as well. Personally, I feel like, especially in the climate today, like coming right off the Oscars, and was it Kia Kwan or whatever coming back?
I guess that would be one thing.
I always felt that Short Round should be the next Indiana Jones.
I'm surprised. That is one thing I was surprised about, because with the Oscars, it almost made it like he was in the movie. Like, because he was talking about it, like, they were like, oh, it was the first time we seen you, or whatever, reunion thing, and it's like, it almost seemed like he should have been in the movie.
He should have been in the movie. Like, I personally would have removed Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character or reduced it in favor of Short Round.
Yeah, I do agree with that. That should have been a better choice.
I mean, that's my bias because I really actually like Temple of Doom a lot.
Yeah.
But I just rewatched it yesterday, and there's a scene during that fight and in the minecart chase and all that stuff leading up to the minecart chase where, like, 10-year-old or 12-year-old Short Round or whatever he is beating up grown men. He beats up like 6 grown men in hand-to-hand combat. You imagine what that guy'd be like today?
Yeah.
Like, that's craziness. And the actor is only like 50 years old.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Indiana Jones running around at 80.
A 50-year-old.
A 50-year-old, you got 20 plus 20, 30 years left in that guy.
And actually watching Everything Everywhere at Once, he's still pretty decent. He's still sprightly on his feet. Even though he had action scenes in that. Yeah, he was like fighting and stuff in it.
Yeah, and it's like the guy I bet Disney wishes they had now.
Yeah.
Because it's coming off his Oscar win.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah,
Kathleen Kennedy and them were probably kicking themselves after that.
They had a perfect actor to use.
They had him.
Yeah.
They had him available.
Yes.
And they didn't do it. But this was so far in production by the time that Oscar win happened that they couldn't have predicted that. But still, like, I'm sure somebody in the production was like, shit.
Yeah. I'm actually glad they didn't use them in, like, that scene where they go to the diving part of it.
Yeah.
They would have just killed them.
Yeah, that's true, because they killed, like, everybody else.
They killed Antonio Banderas.
Antonio Banderas can't catch a break ever. He always shows up in cameos.
And just gets killed.
And just dies. Or he's like a joke character. What was that? One Expendables movie where he's like a joke.
Yeah,
he just kept trying to join the team or whatever. So, yeah. Overall, I don't know. What would you rate this movie out of 10?
Out of 10, I actually enjoyed it, so I'd probably give it more like a 6, maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah,
I'll give it a 7.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I'd say maybe 6.
Yeah.
6.5, something like that.
Like it's a pretty decent, like, other than that, but I mean, being action you can't see, that is kind of a big mark.
That's a problem. Yeah, there's problems. Don't get me wrong. There are issues, but I don't think it's the worst film ever.
There's another part that didn't make any sense is, how is a triane take down a Heinkel bomber?
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, if we're going to talk about random shit.
That was, like, stupid.
Yeah, so there's a part where they end up going back in time to the Siege of Syracuse, which is, like, 219 BC or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's a Roman fleet attacking Sicily.
Yeah.
Well, we got to talk about Sicily later on too, because
Yeah.
their map is interesting. But yeah, they're just launching like scorpions or like ballistas or whatever, which is like a big crossbow. If people don't know anything about it, and it's firing like crossbow bolts into a Heinkel bomber or transport plane from World War II.
Yes.
And that somehow penetrates the plane and downs the plane.
Like it kills a guy too. Like literally
It kills the main guy.
Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen dies in a plane crash.
Or the guy that was hanging outside. Like,
oh yeah, they impaled that guy. They got seriously great aim with that thing.
even though that guy was like shooting his gun out the window for some weird reason.
Okay, so yeah, there's that. Speaking, before I get off on another tangent, speaking of Sicily, you know, the classic Indiana Jones thing with the traveling montage on the map. The first one they do, well, first off, the first time they travel, they don't even bother with it.
Yeah.
He goes from New York to Tangiers, and they didn't even give a shit.
Yeah, they're like, whatever.
And then they remembered that that's a thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, remember the thing with the map? And then they do it from Tangiers to Greece.
Yeah.
But then when they leave from Greece to go to Sicily, it's just a straight shot west.
Yeah.
What happened to Italy?
Yeah. There is no Italy.
It's just open sea between Greece and Sicily.
And Mads Mikkelsen like looks in his binoculars and he's like, they went to Sicily.
Like, what? He can see Sicily.
Yeah, like from Greece.
From Greece. Sarah Palin levels of vision.
Yeah, it's like,
I can see Russia from my house.
yeah, it's like, what?
I can see Sicily from Greece.
Because he shows him, he's like, they didn't go south, they went west. But he knew they went to Sicily for some reason.
Yeah, and then the map does the Indiana Jones map where they just go straight due west.
Yeah, it's like, that didn't make any sense.
From Athens.
Yeah.
And they end up in Sicily.
Somehow.
It's like, there's a sizable country
Yes.
between those two. But anyway, some reason Italy cloaked itself
Yeah.
for that moment in time. Maybe the entire country of Italy fell into the time rift.
Yeah,
for
there was
just
a time rift and went to the Battle of Syracuse.
Yeah, that's why there were so many Romans there.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was funny. And then can we talk about off-brand Brad Pitt and his trigger-happy...
Oh, yeah. That guy just shot everything. He literally just took his gun out and just shot everything.
He just shot everybody.
Yeah, or shot in the air for no reason.
He killed like half of his own people.
Yeah.
And then he randomly attacks Indiana Jones like while he's describing.
Yeah.
He's like trying to describe the fact that continental drift is a thing that exists and your coordinates are all off. The dude just punches Indy in the mouth.
I know. It's like, what? Don't use your science here.
And then they talk about another thing too. They talk about languages and codes, and they're talking about it's not a language, it's a code. It's the Polybius code. Polybius, the evil arcade machine.
Evil arcade game in 1970s.
But anyway, that's a code. But then they say, what if it's a linear B code? It's not a language, it's a code. It's like linear B is a language.
Yeah.
That's a written language. I think it's Mycenaean Greek or something like that.
Yes.
So there's definitely some errors to be made, but there's errors in all the Indiana Jones movies.
They definitely stretch it a little bit.
Well, they're designed to be emulating pulp.
Yeah,
like 1930s and 40s stories.
Like those adventure stories they had.
Yeah, they're not that accurate. They had
Yeah.
serials from the 30s and 40s that were clearly made by people who've never traveled to these places.
Yeah.
People complain about Temple of Doom being super racist. The dinner scene where everybody's eating bugs and snakes and all that stuff. It's meant to be like an exaggerated anti-Hindu culture that's supposed to show how evil that culture is.
They're like supposed to be probably like in the mountains, secluded away from everything else or something.
Yeah, because like Molaram, the priest, has a cow skull on his headdress, which is like sacrilegious.
Yeah, that would be really bad.
Like the point of that is that he's like the I guess the anti-Shiva or something. He's like the anti-Christ.
Yeah.
Anti-Krishna or something. Where he would be like, he's supposed to be evil.
Yeah.
It's like the Hindu idea of an evil person.
Yeah.
So his culture is flipped on its head. So everything they're doing, like that scene where they're all eating the live animals and stuff, that's supposed to be sacrilegious and like evil.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be an accurate representation of Hindu
Yeah,
culture.
especially like Hindu culture is very vegetarian.
Right, and that's the point, is it's like an anti-Hindu society. Yeah. So, but India at the time, I think, banned the movie because of the culture, the depiction of them or whatever. But it's supposed to be like an anti-version of that reality. And there's all kinds of errors all over the place. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones whips out a RPG and threatens to blow up the Ark. And it's 1936. It's like 10 years prior to like the first RPG.
Yeah, they wouldn't even have an RPG at that point.
Like I used to think growing up that it was like a Panzer Schreck or Panzerfaust or something like that, but it's not. Like it's
literally an
it's
RPG.
Literally an RPG. Like
it's probably went to like a store and got it.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like, but a Panzerfaust and Panzer Schreck didn't exist back then either.
No.
So there was no anti-tank rocket that existed in 1936.
Yeah, because they didn't really have rockets except the V2 rocket. Or
yeah,
V1.
they used to use like anti-tank rifles.
Yeah.
To stop tanks. Then they didn't have like personal rocket launchers.
Yeah.
They did in World War II, but that's like 5-6 years later.
Yeah.
So Indy has a weapon that doesn't exist yet. And he threatens to destroy the Ark with that.
He used the dial.
He used the dial of destiny
to go forward.
To go forward and steal an RPG.
Yes, to go fight the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. So there's that. People complaining about the time travel, jumping the shark or whatever, and it's like, I don't know.
I don't know about that, because they're not supposed to be like
realistic.
Real.
The Ark of the Covenant has crazy angels, ghosts, whatever,
like melting people's faces off.
That melt people's faces. We already talked about this. Like you got magic rocks in the second movie. You got the Grail in the third. You got interdimensional beings in the fourth.
And this one literally, I guess this would be a major spoiler in this movie, where like the dial is not really actually going back in time.
Yeah,
it literally goes back to the same point in time, which is the Battle of Sicily.
The only thing, and it's a thing that happens in time travel shows and movies all the time, is that by them going back in time, it's what allowed Archimedes to complete the circuit.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense because that creates a paradox.
Yeah, and it like screws it up.
How did it happen in the first place?
Yeah.
That's a problem that's really common in Doctor Who also, where they'll create these cyclical paradoxes.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to go back in time to give yourself the item to go in the... They did in Bill and Ted, too.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Because how did you get out the first time without this guy going back in time to give you the item? You can't go back in time and give yourself something to get you out of a situation.
Which I think that's the problem with a lot of time travel. It's like it happens and it's like, well...
How would they get out of this situation? You would have just died in that cell. Yeah. You wouldn't have been able to go back and give yourself a key.
Yeah.
In this case, that's what happens with Archimedes, because they notice that there's a propeller in one design and a watch.
Yeah, and he has a watch on, which is like Matt Mikkelsen's watch or something.
Yeah, and it's Archimedes got that because they went back in time and gave it to him.
Yeah, like, oh, here's that, or like they left it there or something.
Yeah, it's really weird. But that's a problem that's common in a lot of things. Speaking of Doctor Who, the saving Hitler thing happened in Doctor Who also.
Oh, yeah.
Where Matt Smith's doctor accidentally saved Hitler.
Yes.
But overall, like I said, it's fine.
Yeah, I suspend my belief in some of that type of stuff, because it's like, you have to write a story. I mean, it's not going to be perfect.
No, it's not perfect. It's got problems.
Yeah.
Some of the characters are weird. A lot of people complaining about Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character being a Mary Sue, but I don't know.
I don't know about that, because they explain why she knows all this stuff.
Well, first off, she's 30 years old.
Yeah.
It's not like she's right out of high school and knows all this stuff.
Her father was, like, obsessed with this thing.
This one specific thing.
Yeah, she kind of knows everything about the languages and everything else because he was obsessed with it.
Yeah.
He even talked about, he put, I don't know, like,
he put the
papers or something
the
up.
Source code to the Polybius arcade.
Yeah, exactly.
all over the house.
All over the house to tell her to do things. So you had to learn how to do it, learn the language.
Yeah.
To know what's going on.
Yeah. So, I don't know about that. I feel like she's established. She's supposed to be the strong, independent woman, but yet she has to enlist the help of an 80-year-old man.
Yeah, exactly.
To finish this mission, so I don't know how.
Yeah.
That's a problem that we'll have in our next movie review as well, which we also watched The Flush.
The Flush. Yes.
The Flash. But that also has the same problem. People complaining about Mary Sue character, that one's way off base, in my opinion. But we'll get to that in that review. Another problem with this movie, and also that movie, weirdly enough, is that it not exactly, but it sort of feels like it doesn't go anywhere. It's kind of like it all ends up where it started.
I agree with that, because, like, this one was supposed to be almost like a send-off for Indiana Jones, but it literally is him grabbing his hat at the very end.
Yeah, it shows his hat on the dryer line or whatever.
And then he grabs it, and he obviously puts it on.
He grabs his hat to go on an adventure.
Yeah, and it's like...
Which doesn't make any sense.
Isn't he supposed to be retired? Like, he should be watching TV or getting that...
He got Marion back. He was back with Marion for 5 minutes, and then he's like, I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go.
I have to leave this house immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everybody else leaves them alone.
Yeah.
So they could go get ice cream or whatever. He's alone with her for like 2 minutes.
Yeah. So
and then he's like, I gotta go.
After not seeing each other for like years. Because they're like a year. Strained marriage.
Yeah.
No wonder they're estranged, because Indiana Jones just leaves.
Yeah.
Like, screw it.
He's like, I'm done. I've seen enough.
Disney gave me my $10 million movie. I'm leaving.
I got paid.
Got paid.
Did you feel nostalgic when you got on the hat and got the whip and you're like, no, I got paid.
Part-time. Left.
I worked part-time.
I just left.
So that is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It's a resounding okay.
Yeah, okay. It's not bad.
It's not great. It's not bad. I'd say check it out in theaters.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a fan of Indiana Jones, and I suspect...
I kind of wonder, like, if you were to watch it, like, IMAX, if it would look a little bit better.
Maybe.
Because the bigger screen, it should be clearer.
Although it might bring out the imperfections even
more.
more. Yeah. This, honestly, I might go the other way, and the small screen might hide more of it than...
They probably are looking in the long run. Small screen's going to hide all that crap.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway, I say check it out. And that's going to be it for this review of Indy 5. So if you like this, leave a like. Consider subscribing for more content this in the future. And leave a comment about what you thought of the movie if you saw it.
Yes.
Any other recommendations of movies you want us to check out. And you too can feel the strength welling within. See ya.
See ya.